हमारी परंपरा नहीं है, ये हमारी प्रकृति नहीं है। और मैं चाहता हूं ये परंपरा बनी रहे, ये प्रकृति बनी रहे। सत्ता का खेल तो चलेगा, सरकारें आएंगी जाएंगी, पार्टियां बनेगी बिगड़ेंगी, मगर ये देश रहना चाहिए, इस देश का लोकतंत्र अमर रहना चाहिए।
India is still under the British rule. The British Empire controls not only the land but also the minds of the Indians. The education system is designed for only one purpose: to produce obedient clerks for the British Raj. But in Bowbajar region of Kolkata, a child was born into a deeply intellectual Bengali Hindu family, the Tiger of Bengal. At just 15 years old, he ranked second in Calcutta University's entrance exam. While studying at the Presidency College, he shared classrooms with the future legends like Narendranath Datta, who would later become Swami Vivekananda, and scientist Prafulla Chandra Ray. But Ashutosh was different. He wasn't just brilliant, he was fearless. While still a teenager, he published mathematical research on Euclidean geometry. At only 22 years, he became one of the youngest Indians elected as the Fellow of Royal Society of Edinburgh. But mathematics alone wasn't enough for Ashutosh. He understood something crucial. If Indians want dignity, they needed institutions of their own. When Ashutosh Mukherjee became Vice Chancellor, everything changed. He had a vision. He wanted Indian universities to rival Europe. He wanted Indians to stop feeling intellectually inferior. At a time when British institutions dismissed Indian knowledge systems as backward, Ashutosh did something revolutionary. He introduced Sanskrit, Bengali, Hindi, Pali, ancient Indian history, and Indian cultural studies into higher education. He believed India could never truly become free if Indians were mentally colonized. And this is where Ashutosh became dangerous to the British Raj, because he refused to bow down. When colonial authorities tried controlling universities through restrictive laws, Ashutosh openly resisted them. Freedom first, freedom second, and freedom always. The British ruled India through fear. Most Indians were expected to remain submissive, but Ashutosh Mukherjee refused. One incident became legendary. During a train journey, a British planter threw Ashutosh's sandals out of the compartment window while he was asleep. It was meant to humiliate him, but when Ashutosh woke up, he calmly picked up the British man's expensive coat and threw it out of the train as well. Shocked, the planter shouted, "Where is my coat?" Ashutosh calmly replied, "It went to fetch my sandals." That single moment perfectly captured who he was: sharp, fearless, uncompromising. But his biggest confrontation with the British came through students. At a time when nationalist movements were rising, the British wanted rebellious Indian students expelled permanently. One such student was a young Bengali revolutionary named Subhash Chandra Bose. After Bose assaulted a British professor who insulted Indian students, colonial authorities wanted to destroy his academic life. But Ashutosh intervened. He protected Bose. He ensured Bose could continue studying. This wasn't just administrative kindness, it was the political rebellion against the colonial authority. Ashutosh Mukherjee understood something that British did not. India's future revolutionaries were sitting inside classrooms, and he would protect them. If Ashutosh Mukherjee built the India's intellectual backbone, his son would enter into the battlefield of politics. Born in 1901, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee inherited both brilliance and discipline from his father. At just 33 years old, he became the youngest vice-chancellor of Calcutta University. But history was changing rapidly. Communal tensions were rising across Bengal. The Muslim League was growing stronger, and Bengal was becoming increasingly unstable. Shyama Prasad focused on education and reform. He expanded mother tongue education. He supported agricultural education. He also promoted women education. He tried reducing caste divisions among Hindus by integrating students from different backgrounds into common hostels. But politics soon became unavoidable because Bengal was heading towards catastrophe. Then came 1946, one of the darkest years in Bengal's history. The Muslim League announced Direct Action Day. What followed was horrific communal violence. Calcutta burned. Soon after, Noakhali witnessed massacres, forced conversions, violence, terror against Hindus. For Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, this changed everything. He became convinced that if Bengal entered Pakistan as a united province, Bengali Hindus would face destruction. At this point, another dangerous idea emerged, the proposal of a united Bengal, a sovereign Bengal separate from both India and Pakistan. To many, this sounded idealistic, but to Mukherjee, it sounded like a trap. And so he launched a movement demanding the partition of Bengal itself. This was one of the most consequential political battles in modern Indian history. Because if this movement failed, West Bengal, as we know it today, might never have existed. In 1947, partition became inevitable. India was breaking apart. The question now was, would Bengal remain united under the Muslim majority politics, or would a Hindu majority West Bengal remain inside India? Shyama Prasad Mukherjee fought relentlessly. He met Lord Louis Mountbatten. He argued before political leaders. He mobilized public opinion. His movement gained massive support among Hindus. And finally, on June 20, 1947, the Bengal Legislative Assembly approved the creation of West Bengal. Millions of Bengali Hindus would now remain inside India. After independence, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee joined the cabinet of Jawaharlal Nehru. But ideological conflict soon exploded. Large number of Hindu refugees were fleeing to East Pakistan. Mukherjee believed that the Indian government was failing to adequately protect persecuted Hindus. The breaking point came with Nehru-Liaquat Pact in 1950. Mukherjee viewed the agreement as insufficient and dangerous. He resigned from Nehru's cabinet. This resignation transformed him into the face of a new nationalist opposition movement. Soon after, he founded the Bharatiya Jana Sangh. Now the story enters into its final and the most controversial phase. Jammu and Kashmir had received special constitutional status under Article 370. There were separate laws, separate symbols, even a permit system for Indians entering the state. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee opposed this completely. He declared one country cannot have two constitutions, two prime ministers and two flags. In 1953, he made a dramatic decision. He would enter Jammu and Kashmir without a permit, not secretly, openly, symbolically. It was a direct challenge to the system. On May 11, 1953, he was arrested near the border and detained in Srinagar. Then his health began to deteriorate. On June 23, 1953, Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee died in custody. The circumstances surrounding his death immediately became controversial. His mother demanded an independent inquiry. Questions emerged about negligence, treatment, and political responsibility, but no inquiry commission was established. He became a martyr for national integration. And decades later, when Article 370 was revoked in 2019, many supporters viewed it as the completion of Mukherjee's unfinished mission. To understand the Mukherjee legacy, one must understand this. Neither Ashutosh nor Shyama Prasad believed India was merely a political territory. To them, India was a civilization. Today, when people discuss modern India, they often focus only on the most famous names. But hidden behind the headlines of history stands the Mukherjee family. A father who challenged the British Empire through education, a son who reshaped Bengal's destiny and altered India's political future. The Mukherjees were not only mere politicians or scholars, they were architects of national idea. And perhaps that is why their story still remains today. Because nations are not built through wars. Sometimes they are built by the courage of the people who simply refuse to surrender their civilization.